Oscar De La Hoya had recently come out and said in his prime he would have beat Mayweather. Not only beat Mayweather, that he would have knocked Mayweather out. Now, I sat back and thought about it. Initially, I said, even when De La Hoya and Mayweather fought, after the fight, I said, man, De La Hoya would have beat Mayweather if he was in his prime. But if we're gonna do a prime for prime, when De La Hoya was in his prime, De La Hoya was at 147 already, and Mayweather was still, I believe, at 135. Now, credit to Mayweather, he was calling De La Hoya out when he was 135, so I give him that. But going back to the De La Hoya statement that he would have knocked Mayweather out, he would have beat him easy. That's what he told Ellie Setback, and I'm gonna have to disagree. I believe it would have been a great fight. I believe it would have been a little bit more of a competitive fight than the fight that they initially had at 154 when I believe Oscar was 36 and Mayweather was 30, I believe. And I believe it would have been a much better fight. I believe De La Hoya would have been able to hit Mayweather more. I'm gonna say Mayweather would have still squeaked it out. And I'm on the strength of this. De La Hoya has always had problems, which is true. He has always had problem with quick twitch, speedy guys that are elusive. He had that problem with Pernell Whitaker, and if you're gonna say prime for prime, let's say Mayweather came up from 135 to fight Oscar at 147. He would have had trouble with Mayweather's speed still. Mayweather was faster then than he was when he was 30. He was more elusive. He did throw more punches. He did take more chances, which would have gave De La Hoya a chance to win that fight. But I believe it would have been a really, really close fight. And I believe Mayweather would have still squeaked it out because of Mayweather's defense. Would have been able to carry the day at the end in his counter punching. Because Oscar, when he fought his big fights, Oscar kind of tensed up and he just wanted to knock guys out so bad that he didn't relax. You could see in the Shane Mosley fights, the two fights he had with Shane Mosley. Now the second fight he looked a little bit more relaxed, but that first fight he was so pent up with trying to knock Mosley out. And even with the Pernell Whitaker fight, he was kind of like had that pent up energy. Even when he fought Mayweather, he had that pent up energy. And I think that was the Achilles heel of Oscar De La Hoya. Now, he was a boxer puncher, but he was one of those boxer punchers to me that just didn't put it all together in the biggest fights as far as knowing what he needs to do when he needs to do it. Now, I'm not saying sit up here and saying Oscar De La Hoya lost all his big fights, because he did get the decision over Pernell Whitaker. Despite what I thought Pernell Whitaker won the fight. He did beat Vargas. He did beat Ike Cortez when Ike Cortez was undefeated. I believe he beat Trinidad, but Trinidad got a decision. So he did beat Chavez when Chavez was a little bit longer in the tooth, but Chavez only had one loss at that point. But when De La Hoya faced guys like Mayweather, Shane Mosley, Pernell Whitaker, the only fight that I seen him loose in that was one of his biggest fights was the Chavez fight, because the Chavez fight was a big fight, and the Trinidad fight. It's just that at the last 3 rounds, he kind of gave those rounds away, which I thought he won, enough rounds to win that fight, even if he gave those rounds, even if he, so-called gave those rounds away. But it is what it is. But, De La Hoya just didn't know when to counter punch. Didn't know when to be the boxer, didn't know when to be the puncher. That's one thing about boxer punchers. They can get caught up in between, styles, and they can fight the wrong style at the wrong time. When a guy's boxing you, you may have to turn to the puncher. When a guy's, the puncher, you may have to turn to the boxer. And then sometimes you may have to mix it up, and you may have to mix it up. And within that round, you may have to, change up. But I'm gonna have to disagree with Oscar on this one. Oscar is a great fighter, no doubt. He has a chance to beat Mayweather because Mayweather will be coming up to 135. So, Oscar would have the size advantage. But I just think Floyd would have enough skill and enough, defense to pull out the fight. Let me know what y'all think. Subscribe to the channel. I'm out.